advised, this is a free speech zone.
Welcome back, everybody, on episode 4 of the Be Advised podcast. If you missed last week's, I highly recommend going back and viewing that one. We had Randy Brown on, giving us some info on NLP. Ron, how did you feel about last week's episode?
It was longer than a week ago.
About a week ago.
I think it went great. Despite the technical problems, I think everything went great. Randy is very seasoned in those subjects. Reads a lot of books. Wrote his own book, as you saw his plug. And yeah, I think that's one of the. I think we should have him on as a regular guest because NLP is so ever changing. Not ever changing, but it's just so vast that you can't point to one thing. And it's good to have a co-pilot that knows a lot about it in life.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of a good segue into this episode that we're going to do today, which is we're going to be covering the media and how they, I don't know, they kind of do their own thing when they're, I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to be like fake news,
Well, it's one of the only things that I liked about Donald Trump is that the first press conference he gave when he, became president, was elected, he just came out and started calling them fake news, and it's the only thing that he's really right about. They've been doing it for 100 years, literally. I know I've told you about Edward Bernays, but not a lot of people know about a guy named Edward Bernays. He was Sigmund Freud's nephew, and he wrote a book in 1928. So this is not an old thing or a new thing. He wrote this book called Propaganda in 1928, and he basically said you have to lie to the public for their own good, not only to sell products, but to sell a war, where people get their news, how to control crowds. These are the things that people were thinking about at the beginning of the 1900s, late 1800s, and really studying on how to do that. And they seem to have done a pretty good job, judging by how little the average citizen knows about how these things work.
Right on. So we're going to kind of be going over just how you can't trust the media. Obviously, I think we're seeing that a lot on social media. People are calling out and getting these clips in of how the media is portraying. They're like lying to us by portraying something that's watchable on TV, right? So this brings me up to my first.
This week's hot button.
So this week's hot button to me is
I love the drops, by the way.
Yeah,
be great.
We're adding those in there, add a little spice.
Excuse me.
We got a couple more in the banks, but this week's hot button for me is the hurricane, right? I'm sure everyone now has seen the video of the guy fighting the wind with all his might, and then there's just two dudes in the back.
I haven't actually seen it. Are we going to see it?
Yeah.
Did you find it?
I'll throw it over this while we talk about it.
Okay.
But you can see like it's not even like above their shoes, and this dude's like holding on
like hurricane force winds.
Yeah, like crazy stuff, and these dudes are just behind him, like strolling, like no one's business.
Yeah, well, that's something that they do to get ratings. That's not necessarily.
Do you think it goes deeper than that, though?
Well, yeah. Okay, if you want to throw climate change into it, they got to make.
I did see that the hurricane. There was a screenshot I saw of some guy looking at patents. You know how you can just Google patents.
Mm-hmm.
And he found a hurricane manipulating patent on how to control hurricanes. They can control where the eye is going and stuff
really?
like that.
I'd like to read that patent.
Yeah.
You can't get a patent at the patent office if it doesn't work.
Right? So, and most of the stuff we do talk about, there are patents.
Yeah.
But anyways, when I say maybe it's deeper, you know how they were advising everyone to go either leave or board up their houses
Right.
and stuff like that. This is going to be a massive hurricane, the worst one in 100 years, or whatever they said. And now these people are either, gassing up, going out, spending money on hotels,
Buying generators.
buying, wood, generators, nails. Like it's almost a boost in the economy, regardless of, any damage done, which I haven't seen any catastrophic videos of neighborhoods being demolished. Have you?
No.
No. So
I don't watch a lot of the news though. I mean, I listen to it on the satellite radio, which is funny. Because I'm driving down the road and CNN is going, look at this destruction. I'm like, fuck, I can't see it, dude. It's not there. I don't have cable in my house. I stopped having cable in my house in 2007. I think that's an old thing now. It's going to be going out with VCRs and stuff like that. And that's an excellent point to bring up to prove that these news organizations, they need ratings. So they make it weather look more extreme. They make social events look more frightening or violent than they really are. There's a lot of YouTubers that get more viewers in a day than CNN or MSNBC or even Fox News will get in a week or a month. And so I think that's part of it. They need ratings. They love it when a 9/11 type thing happens because they can stay on the air the whole time.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, look at I don't know if you're old enough to remember, I'm about, 7 years older than you, something like that.
Yeah.
But during 9/11, they didn't go to commercial for like 2 days. They loved that.
But how did they get their ad revenue then?
I don't know. Maybe they were pumped up by the banks or something. I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
I think it was
look
all
into.
fake. Not the 9/11 attacks really happened. I'm not one of those people, but there was definitely manipulation.
I have to admit, I was sucked into this hurricane. I was kind of bought into that it was going to be devastating, right? And I was kind of following it more than I would any other storm. And I didn't see anything. Nothing was happening that would, cause. It wasn't like Katrina or Sandy,
Right.
Which Alyssa's family got hit really bad by Sandy. Their whole basement was flooded.
Really?
Yeah, and we went back, and now everyone's houses are on stilts.
Oh, yeah. They do that.
They make for pretty cool bars, though, over by the beach. You just sit up high. It's real nice.
It's pretty cool. What?
Because the bars that are right there by the beach had to
okay.
do the same thing. So now it's on top, and it's pretty cool.
Nice. So you don't have too many drinks and fall off the stilts type situation?
Well, we're getting off track here. But, so the media lies to us. You say, maybe, how do they lie? All right, so they set up, they'll say, hey, we're over in this location, but really they're just in some studio, right?
Right.
It's all.
Also, I want to say, and I when I try to explain this to people, this is the way I explain it, and people get it. So the news is going to tell you some truth. They're going to tell you probably about 20% of the truth about any situation, the hurricanes, whatever. And that'll be CNN. And then Fox News will tell another part of the truth, but a different truth than CNN has told you. And then both of them make up the rest and lie or omit facts so that you don't get the whole story. But they both tell you a truth and a different part of the truth so that they can both go, look, I'm telling the truth. Here's my truth. And people can check it out and go, oh, yeah, well, shit, they're telling the truth. And then you look at the truth that CNN tells you. It's if you look at all media, you will find that. If you're a closed-minded person and you go, I just listen to Fox News because I'm conservative. Well, you're not getting the whole story and it by the same thing. Oh, I'm a liberal and I only watch MSNBC. If you watched and looked at everything, you would see that they do lie. All of them.
Right.
And so this leads into
this
fake locations.
Truth of the week. Truth of the week.
Brings us to our truth of the week. The media lies to us. You know, they all stem from the same umbrella, right? They all get their agendas from one source, no matter if that's your local news, CNN, MSNBC. They all have their instructions, right? Let me show you this clip real quick. It was off of John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, which is a great show. I highly recommend it to anyone. But this clip's going to show you how all these reporters are saying the exact same phrases, sentences, and all that.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias, and agenda to control exactly what people think. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Yeah. Nothing says we value independent media like dozens of reporters forced to repeat the same message over and over again like members of a brainwashed cult. I guess what I'm saying here, Sinclair, is that as a news organisation, I believe you make no sense. And now,
the exact
this.
same thing.
They're following a script, talking points that came down from on high from somewhere.
It's probably the same exact teleprompter file.
I would say so, as well. I had a lot of time off in 2008, 2009. I wasn't working very much, and this is actually what caused Gretchen to get rid of the cable. I would sit at home and watch these news organizations trying because prior to that, I'm a liberal. On the libertarian side, I'm a real liberal. I think freedom of speech and freedom of movement throughout the country and freedom to own land, that type of thing. But I was one of the ones that said, Fox News just lies. They just lie all the time. And CNN is the man. They always tell the truth. Well, you find out that these talking points do come from somewhere. They come from places like think tanks and the Rand Corporation, and there's a couple of other think tanks. And they look at a situation in politics and they go, how can we spin this to make ourselves look good? And these talking points come out of these think tanks. They first land in the newspaper, early in the morning. Then it spreads to the early morning news talk shows, your CNNs, your Good Morning America, your what have you. Then it goes to AM radio, politics, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, people like this. And so that if you do follow this stuff closely, by the end of the day, you find yourself saying these things to people in a bar. And you go, what the fuck am I doing? I don't know that that's true. That was just hammered into my head, for a long time I was a truck driver, right?
Yep.
So once you've heard, big old jet airliner fucking 900 times on the radio, you don't want to listen to music anymore. So you start listening to talk radio. When you get older kids, that's what's going to happen to you. I'm sorry.
I never thought my dad would always listen to sports talk, and I always thought it was so boring.
Yeah.
And now I do the exact same thing.
But
podcasts or sports talk.
Right.
Hardly any music.
But in this button down corporate news world, you either have to spout the talking point, or you have to be the argument against the talking point, but you always have to use the talking point in your sentence. You see what I'm saying? That could have been put out by the Trump administration. Like, think about this for a minute. Everybody hates Donald Trump, but what if you're supposed to so that you're distracted by how much of a sexist, racist, homophobic, Islamophobic bigot that he is, and you're not looking at what's actually going on. They did the same thing with Bush. They did the same thing with Obama with the birth certificate and this and that. But Obama did terrible things too. He really did. And so if you ask the average person on the street, they're going to spout something like that they've heard from their cable news source or their Rush Limbaugh or whomever. And it's really kind of scary once you wake up and you get away from that, because you can see it happening to other people and you feel bad. That's why we're doing this. We want people to look at it for themselves and not see, politics has become emotional now. So you can't look at another side of an argument because you hate that person because of their politics without listening to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. This freaking dog's clipping all over the place. So let's go into, because people are like, oh, all right, you keep saying media is fake, or give us some examples, right? Why do you think they're fake? Because this is a hard pill for some people to swallow. I think it's getting easier, but the fact that you can't trust the news, which was supposed to be the only place you could trust, right? So some examples would be, I guess I could pull up this video right now, but so this clip is from 9/11, which is, that could be another hot button of the week, but
hot button of my life.
Right? You can't ever talk to anybody about this. You get which is weird, right? If you ever try to, because people want you to question things, right? They want you to be curious,
right?
But not when it comes to this kind of stuff. They just want you to stick to the narrative, and if you go against it, you're not American, or they outcast you.
You hate firefighters. And
exactly.
My dad's a firefighter.
Exactly. Alyssa's whole side of the family in New York are all firefighters.
Really?
Yeah.
So
we stay with their aunt and uncle, and her uncle's a retired fire chief. So
the family won't even touch the subject.
Oh no, I don't even try. I don't at all. Right. I tried to bring up the NFL kneeling thing with Kaepernick. That was hot button right there. So I backed off real quick.
So they're patriotic and you're not?
Well, they're protesting the NFL, so they refuse to play anything.
What do you mean?
They won't play the NFL on Sundays or anything. They used to watch,
because they don't like him kneeling.
Right. Okay. They think, which is, that could be a media thing too, because Kaepernick was doing it to shed light onto police brutality, right?
Right.
And then it got twisted to, oh, he's protesting America. What people don't understand is, the NFL players didn't even go out to the field during the anthem until 8 years ago, when they wanted to start promoting the military more and thought the NFL would be a good place to do that.
I didn't even know that one.
Yeah, so
holy shit,
it's a new thing. And then I also think, oh, well, he's kneeling while the anthem, that's disrespectful. I don't see you getting up off the couch while the anthem's playing. I don't see you get up off your bar stool when the anthem's playing.
That's true.
Anyways, back to this 9/11 thing.
I think if you don't like it, ignore it and it'll go away. The more that people pay attention to something like that,
or they'll burn their Nikes and the stock will go up.
More, yeah.
Anyways, that is kind of one, because the media spun it that way. ESPN spun it that way.
All right.
But so this 9/11 clip here is, the whole 9/11 thing. We're gonna have a separate episode on this because we can get really deep into it, but
probably several.
Yeah. This is just one clip that really stands out to me about the media and them getting their agenda passed on from a higher seat up in the entertainment world or whatever. But this one's pretty much, they reported Building 7 going down. It was collapsed. The building had collapsed. And then they cut to the field reporter and the building's in the background. So it's like,
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing, and indeed it has. It seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city. But
yeah, the dude's like, it's been collapsed. New news, the building collapsed. No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
And this wasn't the exact clip I wanted. There was another clip. I've been trying to find. If I find it, I'll play it on an overlay as I talk right now. But the guy, another reporter, reported that the building was hit 10 minutes before the actual building was hit. So the buildings were hit at what, 7:12, right? A.M.
No, it was 8:47
No, I'm way off then.
a.m.
Anyways, it was like 10 minutes
just
before that.
9 o'clock.
So I don't know. It's a little fishy to me. Like, how did they get that info passed along to them?
Well, so there's another clip, if you look for it, you can find of a camera guy at the base of Building 7, and you can hear explosions coming out of the building. Boom, boom. And those are presumably charges that they set off before the demolition to pull the outer walls inward, so that when all the beams explode, they all, fall directly in its own footprint, which you saw. And you can hear these explosions, and a cop starts yelling at him, "Get out of here, they're bringing this building down. This building's coming down right now." So somebody knew.
Hold on. This warrants one of these.
What did Ron say?
He's so crazy.
What did Ron say?
But you can look it up for yourself, and you can find it. We'll try to, maybe if we can find that when we get down here, we can find it. You can crowbar it in right about here, and then we'll pick up afterwards. But so somebody definitely knew.
Yeah, he said they're bringing the building down.
And every news source wants to be the first one to report something. So they go, fuck, is it 9:47 yet? Or actually, this happened at like 5 p.m. Building 7 coming down, the Salomon Brothers building.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody at the BBC was like, fuck. All right, just go ahead and tell them it fell. We'll be the first. They forgot to mention it was in the background of the shot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Like, I know to people that, here's a side note, 100% of the people that I meet that believe the official story of 9/11 have never read the official story of 9/11. They've never read the 9/11 Commission report. They just got all their information from here. And the 9/11 Commission report, I see some holes.
There's a lot of holes.
I can,
like Swiss cheese.
So
I did see a video recently of some guy testing this chemical powder that, when ignited, it just he recreated a beam of the tower, right?
Yeah.
I mean, concrete and everything. And this thing just went and like dusted it.
thermite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was thermite. That's exactly what it was.
Yep.
But all right, let's so there's like a small example. All right, well, is that a lie really, or them just knowing ahead of time and not telling us?
Well, how would they know ahead of time that a building that wasn't hit by an airplane was going to fall? How would they know that? They wouldn't have known that.
And then they install fears, and it's kind of segues to my cold hard fact of the week.
Facts. 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 Robbie's Cold Hard Facts.
Cold hard facts of the week is the media. Listen here, the media were the ones responsible for creating terrorism. And I'm not meaning like the news stations or anything, but you've seen where they fake the beheading videos, right?
Yeah.
Where it's in a whole studio set up, these beheading videos that the media would play.
3-point lighting on a beach.
Yeah, or in the sand dunes, and they're in like, I don't know if anyone's tried to shot out in daylight. It's not that easy. Like you can't, besides having a bunch, of lighting instruments.
Yeah, so ISIS has television studio, level lighting capabilities, right?
And there's even a picture out there where there's the whole setup and a green screen, right? Because, everyone, maybe you're a YouTuber and you use green screens, and you're like, oh, I could tell if someone's on a green screen. Not these high professional grade systems, right?
Right.
It's just almost it's almost invisible. It's like what Hollywood uses, right? So that's my hard cold truth is that the media umbrella. I'll put it that way. Media umbrella. I'm not gonna put this all on news stations, right? Because these are just people doing their jobs. But it's the higher up people that, are lying to us, are trying to create fear to push ahead an agenda set by the umbrella corp, right? Let's just call them that. Because there's only, how many, where do these news stations stem from? Don't they stem from, like Disney and stuff like that?
Yeah, they're all owned centrally by giant Viacom,
Probably a bank or something.
like giant systems. Get a little buzzed here.
Dang, off one. Off one?
But
so there's two examples. I mean, they're both kind of connected to 9/11. Do you have any examples? Maybe
well,
here. Why don't you kind of elaborate a little bit on the Syrian gas attacks? Those are while I go refill my drink here.
So the last Syrian gas attack, I've seen a Syrian doctor, emergency room doctor, was interviewed in his hospital, and he goes, "No, there was no gas attack. It was a tunnel fire, and people got scared, and thought it might be a gas attack. But when all these little kids and people showed up to the emergency room, they just had smoke exposure because the incredible destruction to that city that has happened. People are no longer living in the buildings; they're literally living in tunnels and basements and things like that. And it was a cooking fire that filled this tunnel full of smoke, and the residents of the buildings, the tunnels, whatever, became afraid. It's a war zone. You don't know what's going on. So they became afraid, and they brought all of their family and kids to the emergency room, and they were treated for smoke inhalation, things like that. And then the media spun it and just showed all these people racing around an emergency room and said it was a gas attack. This last one, I don't believe there was a gas attack at all. The past one seemed to have been rogue elements that have to do with people that we armed, ISIS. All ISIS in Syria is a bunch of street gangs that had controls of certain areas of the city or the country, and then when this war broke out, it empowered them, and then we started arming them, and they became al-Nusra, then they became ISIS, and that's following right back up to what you were saying. That's how we get this high quality video of beheadings and stuff like that, which they never show you the actual beheading. I looked and couldn't find the actual beheading video where they actually cut the guy's head off. They said it's too graphic. There's another one where they catch an Egyptian pilot, I believe, on fire inside of a cage. And when they only show you the first couple of seconds of it because it's graphic. Well, it's digital fire. Anybody who's ever done any editing can see that it's just a guy going, oh, and there's digital flames. And that's why they couldn't show you the whole
because it didn't look
video
right.
because they'd have to, fall down and burn up and turn black. And
Yeah, when you showed me that first video, I was blown away of how these people were acting. Like,
oh, you talking about the one with the car bomb?
yeah,
The fake car bomb?
yeah.
It wasn't a fake car bomb. So there's this video. We'll have to find these.
We're gonna try, whatever videos we're gonna. We tried to find them before we started here, but it looks like they've been scrubbed off YouTube. So we're gonna have to go diving down Live Leak or something to try to find these.
Right, and that one was on Live Leak as well. I forgot that. But so it's this video of a car. It's a CCTV video, so it's a static shot from a building into an alleyway or something. And you got a car sitting on the curb, and then another car comes around the corner. I can't remember if it comes around the corner or if it leaves going around the corner, but a car pulls up, somebody gets out of the car, puts something in the car that's parked. They get in the car, they drive away. Seconds later, the car explodes in flames, and about a dozen people run into the frame and lay down on the ground and start twitching around. And you could tell it wasn't like they were trying to figure out what's going on and they actually were affected by some chemical. They're acting it out. And then slowly more people start coming in and picking them up and putting them in vans and things like that. And so things like this, not only in this country, but in other countries, are used they'll just cut the front off and go, look, a burning car and a bunch of people laying on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just taken at face value because people are eating their dinner and they go, oh, fuck, that's terrible. Look, those people just got jacked by a fucking chemical weapon and they don't even think that anybody would do things like this. But these things are done. If you go to a dirt poor country as a reporter and go, I'll give you $20 each to fucking pretend like you got hit by a chemical attack on camera, they'll do it. They'll do it. So, and piggybacking on what you said earlier, where you say, I don't think the average news guy is in on it. I do. And this is the way it works. The most honest, or some of the most honest reporters are the ones that are stuck in bumfuck Phoenix or some small town because they don't want to go along with the system. So if you're popular on local Channel 10 Fox News, they'll come to you and they'll say, hey, peddle this story. You might end up on our cable Fox channel. You do this for us, you might work your way up.
Maybe. I didn't think I was going to have to use this button, Ron.
Oh, God.
But I'm going to have to use it.
Disagreement alert.
I'm going to have to disagree on you right there.
You going to disagree?
I might disagree. I don't think they're in it. They show up to work just like you do.
Well, yeah, but if they see something that they know is a lie and they fucking go on TV and go, guess what happened today? They're in on it, right?
Maybe you can convince me with this clip over here that you brought.
The RT clip?
This one.
Oh, yeah.
Because
this needs no convincing.
Yeah, so we're about to unleash on you. I guess if you were a reporter and they were like, all right, you stand here, but you're going to be talking to someone
via satellite
that's like 3 feet away from you.
In the same parking lot.
The same parking lot. Check this out.
Okay, this is yet another comedic installment in fake news. Watch this. See this truck? Okay, there goes split screen, right? Look, see the truck? See the dude? Look at the dude, right? Here he is. Split screen. He's over here.
So they're
Right?
like across the
Guy
street.
on the bike. Guy on the bike. There he goes. There he goes. Yeah, they got a split screen. They cut away, right?
And thank you to this guy who's yelling and laughing for putting this up there, because I don't know his YouTube channel, but I'm sure you can see it there. But people need to point stuff out like this, and you go, well, maybe that's just one time that happened, but it happened again. If you want to,
This one's a little older too.
Nancy Grace just reminds me of my drunk mother.
So there's no audio on this one, but we're gonna show you. Just pay attention to the background. We'll kind of see
This is in Phoenix.
This is in Phoenix.
Just talking to Ashley Banfield via satellite again.
Via satellite. See the cars? The cars are the same exact in the background. Same cars in the background.
So
actually, it's a looping background. I just noticed that right now. That's a looping background.
You think it's looping?
That's
no,
a loop.
well,
See,
they
well,
looped this video. They looped that video a couple
okay,
times.
that's what it is. All right, I'm like, well, I doubt the same buses and cars would go back. But all right, yeah, they loop it.
That would be incredible. That shows that the Matrix exists if they are via satellite in different cities.
Honestly, that might be, like, look at the angle.
It might be green screen.
Yeah, I think it is green screen.
And they just...
If you see the angle, like, that wouldn't really be the angle of how she would be standing there. And see how, like, relaxed her shoulders are, like she's sitting down?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's sitting down on a green. And then you can see that soft glow around her head.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and, I go back and forth with this saying, they either think that the public is so stupid that they won't realize it, or there's a thing in brainwashing where you present something to somebody that's very obvious, and if they don't pick up on it, it's part of the brainwashing process. So they're supposed to be in different cities. Are they in different cities? What does it say at the top of those two? I forget.
No, they both say Phoenix.
They both say Phoenix?
Yeah,
okay.
But I think they're on a green screen.
So regardless, what they're doing is they're putting it in your face and they're saying, look, we're lying to you. Look, right here. Can you see? And if you refuse to believe that, or you go, oh, maybe they were in in the same city, but they're in different parts of the city, and those buses are really common, and you just refuse to believe it. So it's what is the thing in 1984 what's the not double speak, but where you hold two contradicting ideas in your head at the same time while laying claim to both? I forget the term that they gave it.
Well, I kind of do that with most of our conspiracies. So,
but they do that so that you lie to yourself, and if you can lie to yourself, then it's easier to accept lies. You dig?
Yeah. I'm on board with that one. But it's just like, if they could just lie about where they're at, like how hard would it, just put yourself in the studio. It doesn't, or just go out there.
And they probably blame the poor camera guys. Are like, fuck, we really got to do this. So the camera guys are probably like, hey, let's point the same direction so we can show how ridiculous our job is.
The camera guy's just happy he has a salary job as a camera guy.
Oh no, man. No, some of those guys don't get paid very well.
Well, that's here nor there, but all right. So you have this other clip here. Oh, these journalists are so bad. They just keep lying to us. The umbrella lies to us. But sometimes you do get those journalists that really went in it as a journalist, and you've seen movies about it where they, I want to get the real story, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what my reputation gets after this. I am a journalist. I'm getting the real report, right?
By the way, I don't know if your page is the same. I suppose your page is the same as mine was at home if I sent you the link. On this page, there's about 3 or 4 more journalists that are coming out and saying the same thing. If you scroll down.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah. So
well, I've been a journalist for about 25 years, and I was educated to lie, to betray, and not to tell the truth to the public. But seeing right now, within the last months, how far how the German and American media tries to bring war to the people in Europe, to bring war to Russia. This is a point of no return, and I'm going to stand up and say it is not right what I have done in the past, to manipulate people, to make propaganda against Russia, and it is not right what my colleagues do and have done in the past, because they are bribed to betray the people, not only in Germany, all over Europe. The reason writing this book was that I am very fearful of a new war in Europe, and I don't like to have this situation again, because war is never coming from itself. There is always people behind it to push for war. And this is not only politicians, this is journalists too. And I just have written in the book how we have betrayed in the past our readers.
Just good ratings. War is good ratings for the news networks.
So. Good ratings for the news network. It brings economy, right? Creates jobs. Yeah, so it's not like these wars just happen, right? It's not just like, oh, you killed one of our people by accident, or I don't even know how a war would naturally happen, right? There's always something someone's pushing.
Follow the money.
Yeah, that's true.
I wanted to point out that the Vietnam War was a big media thing, and what we were told at first is that is mine. What we were told at first was that we were going to Vietnam so that South Vietnam did not go communist. And if you have ever seen a map of Asia, Vietnam is this nipple on the bottom of the tit of the whole continent. It's very small. So everything above that for thousands of miles was communist. But people back then didn't know that, because you couldn't just pull a map up on Google and go, what's Vietnam? A lot of people didn't know what Vietnam was in the 1960s until they got there. So stop the spread of communism to South Vietnam was the official story. But if you really dig into it, you find out that the French were colonialist for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they had a lot of little settlements in Vietnam. And another thing that they had was a rubber tree plant, a rubber tree plantation rather. And Michelin was I don't know if it is now, but Michelin was a French company, and they didn't want to give up their shit. They didn't want to give up their property, because if the North Vietnamese came in to the South, they were gonna kick all these people out and take their plantations and take their company, and it would be a communist state at that point fully. So stopping the spread of communism was about a third of the story. And I don't know exactly how the French and the Michelin Corporation got America to buy into this war. They did it somehow. Usually it would be, the military saying, oh, it's in America's economical interest for this not to happen, so we must go in. And if you research it, you will find out that is the truth, and we were lied to again. And the distraction, there always has to be the lie and the distraction. The distraction was the U.S. media saying, opposing the war itself, but not telling you the reason why that opposition came to be. So, they had the body count. Why do we have to have a body count? Things like that. Those were their those were the media's talking points at that time to distract people away from what was really going on. You see. So that's just one example in history how the media was used to tell a big lie, a big story, and cover up the actual truth. And it's all the saying in the book, but follow the money. If somebody tells you something on the news, look for how money is involved, and you will find out the actual reason that is a news story, or what's going on with those talking points or whatnot.
Right.
Is my camera still on?
Yeah, you're good. Sorry, just having some technical difficulties with my camera.
Cut those out.
Yeah. Well, we'll be good. So where do we go from here, Ron? So you can't trust the media.
Not fully. They're gonna, like I said, they're gonna tell you some truth, but it's the truth that's gonna benefit them, or the corporation that they're telling the truth for, or the government agency that they're telling the truth for, and the omission or the lie is going to cover up the bad things that are going on with that corporation or that government agency.
Did you ever see the movie Nightcrawler?
Maybe.
It's about Jake Gyllenhaal's in it, and he's a freelance field cameraman that sells his content to news stations.
That's what I was saying. Talking about those guys sometimes don't make a lot of money, but yeah.
He eventually stages his own. Well, not like his own, but there's a crime scene and doesn't tell anyone, just goes in, films it all, some really unethical stuff. But towards the end, he kind of creates his own story, so people would keep buying his material and whatnot.
But that's interesting. It's called Nightcrawler.
Yeah, you should check it out.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That sounds exactly. And again, I think Hollywood and everybody, there's an elite and everybody's in on it. So Hollywood is going to make movies like that, so that if you try to say, oh, people stage stuff in the news, they go, you're fucking talking about a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal in it, you idiot.
Yeah, but it stems from somewhere, right? The guy that wrote the script had, pure intentions of telling you how that works, right? That's
right.
And then they had, screen adapted and changed some things. Yeah, but you got any more? Actually, let's go to this. Ready?
Wrap. Today's wrap up.
We're hitting that 10 minutes left mark, so we're gonna start kind of wrapping it up. I feel like we really just touched the very top of this.
Yeah, we're scratching the surface.
We're
today.
barely scratching it today, I think.
Well, I think the goal of the podcast overall is to take our first group of podcasts and do one subject at a time, and then for the rest of them, we'll just fucking freeball it and touch on other things to say. Remember when we were talking about in episode 4? This is that thing,
We're laying the foundation.
Got to have a good foundation
for future. We're gonna just tickle your taste buds right now. But yeah, like you said, this podcast isn't to be the end all be all of certain subjects that we cover. It's really just us two dudes communicating our concerns and views on how our society and culture is shaping. And for this week, it was, don't always believe in what the media is giving you, right? It's all propaganda and a money trail when you come back down to it. Yeah, Ron, how do you feel?
I feel great. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I was one of the people that believed the news when I would watch it. And when I look back, I'm going to be 44 in a month. 45. Fuck, I missed a year. And when I look back on all of the things that not just I, but the entire public was lied to about, and they believed, I just can't. The more and more I find out about it, the more books I read about it, and then you turn on the TV and you go outside and you're like, what the fuck? I just read that in a book that's a thing, So I think as many sources of information as possible is a good thing. Even if it's not credible, because you want to see where the lies come from. You want to hear the talking points. You want to fucking look at CNN and like, as I said, I have it on the satellite radio in my car, and I'm driving down the road yelling at the fucking car radio like a lunatic. I never thought I'd be that, but it's it's one of those things where once you realize it's going on and you wake up to it, you see it everywhere. And then that's what's the most scary about it. I got 2 kids, and the direction that we're going right now with all of the propaganda, everything all combined is a civil war in America. And World War III, I believe, isn't going to be country on country. It's going to be civil wars in several different countries going on at the same time. You see what I'm saying? They're trying to make as much disinformation as they can, pit people against each other, black against white, white against Hispanic, male against female. They're trying to fracture people into so many different little factions that at the drop of a hat, something could go down. And then once that happens, that's when globalism comes in. I'm not a globalist.
So you think that's what
I'm for American sovereignty. Absolutely. It'll get so bad that they'll have the UN come in, and when the UN comes in, that's it. You could take the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and tear them up in little pieces and make a little fire and then kiss your ass goodbye, because we're going to end up, the United States is going to be a place like Europe where you have a fractured country that is a bunch of little foreign countries have a...
So is it like each of our states would become a country?
Yeah, but it would be like China. China owns part of... China! So China is actually buying our national debt, which we don't owe, as you know. And what's going to happen is the federal government, they're going to call in the loan, and the federal government's going to go, you want our national parks? Go ahead, set up a mining operation. You're fine. That's what's going to happen. And we'll have Chinese territory here in America. I'm not against Chinese people. I'm against the Chinese government.
I love Chinese food.
It's fucking dope, dude.
No, that's kind of going off. I should hit that Ron button again, but...
Don't overuse them.
I know, that one's so fun, though. It's like... Beep, 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 beep.
It's going to be ringing in my head when I wake up in the morning.
So going back, I just can't stand when people don't, you could, an event happens, it's all over the news or whatever, and as me and you type of people, okay, this happened, let me go research what they're not showing us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people like take it at face value.
Right. And then it becomes history.
Right.
It becomes history like that. It's,
yeah,
it's a lie.
And then there's and especially these recent big tragedies, school shootings and even the hurricanes, stuff like that. Everyone's afraid to question the media. I'll put it that way. Right.
Well, yeah. And now that you have, and this is all part of it, the White House could be in on it. You got Donald Trump goes up and says fake news. Now everybody that believes that the news is fake is a hateful, racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic bigot.
Yeah,
because Trump said it.
Exactly.
So
I love how his public relations manager keeps getting fired, and it's like a new person
Over and over again.
over and over again.
You're fired.
That I think the journalisms are doing a good job in that aspect, as in just trying to not trash, but because I don't feel like it's been that big of a deal. Like when Obama was president, it was just, here's what the White House has to say. Okay. But now with Trump, here's what the White House has to say. Well, why? You said this. He did this. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I think that's kind of funny.
That's the distraction. That's to keep people mired in all those little stupid little arguments that probably don't mean anything.
What gets
so
me?
that you're not going to see what the Trump administration is doing. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like having a heckler in the audience. Like, say I'm a stand-up comic and I have a heckler in the audience that heckles me, but we have a script and I make him look stupid so that everybody laughs at him. You see what I'm saying? And it makes me look better when that was Robbie in the audience saying canned lines or something,
You know what's gotten me a couple times? Like those Facebook fake news ones where it's like...
I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, but...
Maybe
I'll always text my wife and be like, "Did you see this is happening?" or blah blah blah, and she'll fact check me and be like, "That's a fake post."
Really?
Yeah.
Like give an example.
They'll just be like, "Oh, this new movie's coming out, right?"
Uh-huh.
I think I saw a Step Brothers 2 movie poster and it looked legit, right?
Uh-huh.
And it had 40,000 shares and everything. I'm like, all right, this is probably legit or something. No, it's fake. People. I have to admit, I've been suckered a couple times on those type of clickbait.
Yeah.
You also have to watch out for clickbait.
I hate clickbait.
Going back, we've kind of been mostly about television, but going back to social media and clickbait, those are the worst because they're so interesting to you. And
right.
Because
you click on it and it either has nothing to do with the title or the...
Yeah, because they collect all your personal data, and then they know what interests you, and then they have clickbait articles that are
recommended for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't put a YouTube on video, and in the thumbnail put a woman with big boobs getting stuck in the mud on a 3-wheeler, and then not have that fucking clip in the...
Yeah, and then it's just you jerking off or something.
Jail.
Yeah, those are the worst. Or the ones where you click it and then it says start slideshow. So now we're going to get 30 clicks out of you instead of just one.
I hate it when you're looking for a movie and you see the movie, it's it's this full-length movie, and then you click and you look at it and it's 2 hours long video, and then you click on it and it's
just
one slide.
Yeah,
it says, click this link for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah. I fucking hate those.
I'm not going to click that link. It's going to give me a fucking jerk-off virus or something in my computer where they just installed porn that I don't want on my computer. And I don't know how that shit works.
All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Like I said, we didn't really dig too deep into this, but that's kind of what our podcast is about, just scratching the surface. We really want you to just go out there and do your own research, because you can kind of dive into what something makes sense to you, and then you can hone in on that. And like Ron said, follow the paper trail, right?
Money.
Money. So, from the Be Advised bros over here, I'm Robbie.
I'm Ron. My camera just shut off.
That's Ron's camera just shut off, so you'll see his lovely face right here. Be advised, everybody.
Be advised.
Be advised, this is a free speech zone.